Welcome back to another episode of Bad and Bard. It's your girl Avi B.
I
Kenny
thought you
K.
were saying my name.
See, this is why I gotta edit this so much.
Yeah, she has to edit because, child, I'll be over here just acting up. Because I didn't, okay, because you came up with a whole name, Avi B. I don't have that. What's mine?
Whomever you would like to be.
Hmm. Okay.
I call you Kenny K, but that's because of your Instagram name. But if you want to be Kendall
I'm
Smith,
always
then
Kenny with the something, though. I have to be Kenny with the, what
well,
should I be for this?
you ain't got the braids no more. You Kenny with the swoop
I know
today.
I'm not Kenny with the braids no more. Jeez, my good sis is taking my role today. I'll
Okay.
be,
you Kenny with the braid. Kenny with the swoop.
I'll be Kenny with the
Kenny
swoop.
with the swoop. KS. Okay. Y'all are funny.
Please introduce yourself, darling.
Okay, and I'm Kenny with the swoop.
And today we have a guest on our podcast. Rosalyn, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Rosalyn. I'm an attorney who is barred in New Jersey, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, we're super happy to have you. And as y'all know, we had a little bit of a debate in our last episode, but we have a spin on the topic tonight. We're going to be talking about Fani Willis. For those of you who don't know what's happening in the world, Fani is the district attorney that is based in Georgia, who is responsible for prosecuting Donald Trump. And so, y'all know that Donald Trump got a hella cases right now, pending in several different states. Fani is just the one prosecuting one case for the election fraud. And so, I was super fired up, hype, excited about having a Black woman DA on this case, a Black woman that was going to bring down the Trump empire. So I thought, and then out of nowhere, we got this BS that has popped up in which Fani is being accused of messing with the special prosecutor. I guess it's no longer an accusation. Girl says she did it, so I guess she did it. She is currently, well, I think the hearings have resolved, but there have been several hearings over the past week to question Fani and many of her family members, friends, people around her on her relationship with the special prosecutor in the case. And so we're going to jump into it and talk about our opinion, both from me and Roz's perspective as attorneys and Kendall's as a law student who has been also super invested in this
Mhm.
case. Me and Kendall were like watching this thing go down, watching these court hearings at a restaurant, like tuned in with the AirPods in. We were like at a little bar. Sports music was going, but we had the AirPods in, like, ready to.
That's
Why she say
hilarious.
that? Why she say that? Oh my god! The whole time. And so let's get into it. So our first question is just very general. Like, Raz, what did you think about the hearing? Just overall, what was your opinion?
Oh, what did I think about the hearing? I thought that actually at the end of the hearing, I was sympathetic to her situation, which I wasn't before. I heard about everything. And but I still remain solid that sis fumbled the bag. And that's what I'll leave it at right there. For
Okay,
right now.
so first, before we get really into it, because I got something to say to that.
Okay.
Before we get really into it, can either one of y'all really break down like what is it that is happening? Because I feel like I'm hearing different things of like, okay, I know this is to obviously get her disqualified, to get him off the case. I get that part, but I've been hearing
Yeah.
things about like, oh, this will get the whole like Trump case thrown out. How is this going to work like legally for her? Obviously, she's probably losing her job, but for the Trump case, like where is this going?
Yeah, I'm actually really glad that you asked that. And I think that I should even take it a step back from that and explain what a prosecutor is and a special
Mm-hmm.
prosecutor, because there will be people who will listen who won't know what those terms mean. And so when I say prosecutor in terms of Fani Willis, she is the person who's representing the state. And so we know that the state brings criminal charges against people. And so she is the attorney who represents the state in criminal court. in terms of the special prosecutor, unfortunately, I wasn't following this case closely enough at the beginning to understand why there was a need to bring in a special prosecutor. I don't know what the circumstances were in her office, but I know that generally special prosecutors are brought in there outside of the office, the local office. They don't work for that local attorney, and they can often come in if there's like some type of conflict of interest, or if there are matters that are beyond like what that office can handle at the time. They will bring in a special prosecutor. Roz.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I think that was it. Is that it was such a massive undertaking that they couldn't. There's no way that that prosecutor's office could have taken it on as well as the other cases that they probably have. So I think
Yeah.
that was the reason. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was starting to gather from the hearings in which she was talking about having to have all these contract attorneys on these different cases already. Like before even the Trump case started, she was hiring contract lawyers and paying them like $60 an hour, which she even knew was a ridiculously low rate. And so in terms of the case overall, I had the same question. And yes, I'm an attorney who doesn't know everything. Like I was thinking, why can't we just remove Fani off the case, bring in another prosecutor, and go from there? Now, would that significantly halt the case and the timeline? Absolutely, it would push things way further. But I don't think that there's a statute of limitations issue that we're pushing up against. So, do you know why? I haven't read any of the pleadings from the defense either. Do you know why they're saying that this could qualify as throwing the whole case out, or where that's coming from?
I think it's purely from the conflict of interest standpoint, right? Like there could be impropriety there. There could be really, I mean, what the whole hearing was based off was the cash, like the
Yeah,
money. You know, you knew that you weren't paying him necessarily, the special prosecutor, what he should have been paid, and now you're getting cash, or there's a transfer of funds here. Are you influencing the case in any way?
yeah,
And so I think that was the biggest thing that came out of the hearing for me. I didn't read the pleadings either. But to me that was like their like smoking gun, is that you had all
yeah,
this cash, you had this influence over him, and if he's supposed to be a special prosecutor, he's not supposed to have, he's supposed to act as the state and have any type of influence and only represent the state. And if he's worried about what you're doing and what your opinion is, then he's not doing that. So, I mean,
yeah.
it was a good grab, honestly.
Yeah, my understanding is that, like with what you said, right, that their argument that the case is tainted, like the case, the
Mhm.
merits of the case are tainted because of her relationship and her influence over this special prosecutor. And I just think that that's absolutely bogus. But they have some good points because their friendship predates this Donald Trump situation. Now, their
Mhm.
relationship, she says, started after the contract, but we'll get into that.
Mhm.
What I genuinely believe it is if, let's say that they're successful, right? I think the case will be dismissed without prejudice and it can be refiled and they can start
Mhm.
all over. And so
Mhm.
I don't think it's a complete like blow up of the case. I mean, would it mess us up, like I said, on the timeline? Yes, because we need Trump to be prosecuted and found guilty before
Before
the
November.
election,
Mhm. Before
before
November.
November.
Mhm. Yep.
We need him to be found guilty and locked behind bars, therefore barred from serving as the president of the United States. You know, but hell, truthfully, Trump seems to be able to do anything, so he might be able to run for president from behind bars because they ain't following no rules.
They're not following a rule. Yeah, no. But it would make it harder though. It would definitely make it harder. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kendall, tell us what you thought about the hearings.
So obviously it was pure entertainment, child. I got my life to it. I really did. Um, I just thought, like, I feel like I went through different phases of it. Obviously, it took me a little bit to watch it because it was very long. But at first, I'm like, okay, she seems erratic. Like, she just seems like she's not well. And then it was like, oh, okay, no, this is strategy. She getting them. Then I kind of went back to maybe she's just not, this is who she is. She's just a little crazy, I'm fine with that. I'm not mad at her. But I will say she lost me when, because I'm thinking the whole time, like, obviously, I think anybody who has worked anywhere. Like I work for the government, which obviously we were in an overabundance of like caution. So I would think anybody would know that you don't date somebody who you are in like direct employment with or something like that, employer employee type relationship, a supervisor. I would think that that would be common knowledge. I don't know. I give people too much credit. So I was always under the impression that they were saying that she was reimbursing him because while, you know, she might have known the relationship looked a little odd, she didn't want it to be what it is right now, which is them accusing her of misappropriating funds and things like that. So I'm thinking she's doing this because she's smart. You know, she got a game plan here. But when she pretty much revealed that, no, I was just paying him back because I didn't want him to feel like he had nothing on me. Damn. You excuse me? So you're about to lose your job over a misogynist? Like what? I don't huh? She said on the stand, he told me the only thing a woman could do for me is make me a sandwich. I said, oh.
Yeah.
And that was your boo? That's your man? You sticking beside him? Like,
Yeah,
So
I would. I'm sorry. I would say I would have to agree too. I was thinking like, dang, like you about to lose this whole case over a man who like ain't shit for real. Like that's the worst
you feel
part.
me?
Like that's the worst part. Like it's not even like this is the love of your life and like it was all worth it. You know what I mean? Like that was the
No.
worst part. It's like, oh, he was actually an asshole and like, yeah, you were lonely, but you made an exception and you knew the rule. Like it just I felt bad for her. And I actually think she had a lot of attitude because she was in front of her colleagues. You know what I mean? That's where the sympathy thing came from for me. Cause I'm like, she has all that attitude and she's riled up because she's pretty much in front of her colleagues. That's why everyone was giving her so much grace. She was so combative. Like, I don't even like to say that associated with Black women, but she was like, if she was any other witness, like, you know, it would have gotten, like, she would have been off the stand. So she was like combative, but everyone was kind of giving her grace because she's their colleague. And I think it was just embarrassing for her. But yeah, my main thing was like, he wasn't even a good guy and you were risking your career. Like not even the case, your career. I don't even care about the case for real. Your career
Literally.
over a bad guy, like who wasn't even like really didn't even really seem to be like feeling you like that. And if he wasn't like a good guy to be feeling you. I don't know. Yeah.
And like the relationship is over. So truthfully, in my real, genuine, honest opinion, I don't think that this is going to end well for her. Like, I don't. I don't think that it was a successful hearing. I don't. I think that she will be disqualified from the case. I think that she will likely ultimately lose her job, and her career is still going to be over. So I I never tell Black women to fall gracefully on the sword because ain't nobody
Mm-hmm.
out here telling white men to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
in this case, and I hate to assess her demeanor, but truthfully, she was really combative, as you said. Like
Mm-hmm.
sis was up there ready for war. And when we already have all these stereotypes at play against us, and you are accused of some malicious conduct and you are guilty of said malicious conduct,
Mm-hmm.
you might want to tone it back just a tad.
Just a smidge. Just a
yeah.
smidge. Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree.
Girl
Totally
was up
agree.
there geared up, ready for war. She winking her eyes. She's sitting
Yeah.
back, arms folded, mind reminding us several times that she's not on trial. Donald Trump is. And y'all are trying to circumvent the law. Felt her on those statements. However,
Mm-hmm.
you are in some hot water here. And I feel like there's you don't have much room to stand on. But I didn't consider the point that you just made that it was likely like some embarrassment in there because these are her peers, these are her colleagues, and she trying to
Mm-hmm.
save face. But I feel like she didn't really save face.
No, I think she low key kind of made a fool of herself
Yes. Oh,
to in the courtroom. I do feel
yes.
like public opinion, or at least Black public opinion, was like, "Yeah, sis, like you did that."
Yes.
But I think any attorney or anyone like in the legal field who would have been in that courtroom would have been like, "Oh my god, like, are you good, girl? Like, what is going on? Just because you know that's not the type of decorum that you would want to present in a court of law. And unfortunately, like, the law is conservative. Like, the law is very like wishy-washy in the light of conservatism. So it's just, I think anyone in the courtroom would have been embarrassed for her. But
Yeah. I was cringing literally the
yeah,
whole time that I was watching.
same.
And like her her style when she answered the questions. If I were an attorney, I prep my witnesses before hearings, before depositions. It was almost as if she didn't have a conversation with her lawyers. Like they didn't prepare her at all for the types of questions that she had. Or if she did, she said, I'm gonna go in here and say what I want to say.
But I think like that's what it was though. Like, I think she was probably so arrogant in the fact
Yeah.
that, like, y'all not about to question me about this. This is my office. You know, I'm running stuff, and like, I got it.
Yeah,
And it
because I
showed.
don't know if you noticed that her attorney made objections on a few times, and she was like, "On what basis?" Like she objecting for him and like questioning the attorney. Like the attorney objected on the basis that it was speculation, and she was like,
Like, that's not speculation.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
Okay.
oh boy, yeah, yeah. No, she was.
"Please let your lawyer do their job." Oh my god.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
she was embarrassed. I do think she was embarrassed. I mean, I feel like anybody would feel that way with their personal sexual life being put on display for everybody to see. So rightfully so that she felt the way she felt. I just don't think she accomplished. I don't know. I don't know what she set out to do. I really don't. So she might have done what she set out to do because I don't know what it was. But if it was to look a little crazier, then you did it, sis. You got it. You got it. But I will say, like, I can understand. Obviously, they're doing this, like, what's, the one thing that they always say is like confuse the enemy, try to confuse. So I think Trump is that's their tactic. They're trying to confuse everybody and everything and like say, you know what, let's focus on this so we don't have
Yeah.
to focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand her being upset. So I'm gonna give her a pass just for that, just because like I can understand like being like y'all don't see what he doing over here. Y'all are making
Mm-hmm.
this about me. But also there is a little arrogance there that she needed to tone down because she was doing wrong. She was wrong. Point blank, and the period. She was wrong, but she still doesn't think she was. And I feel like that's the biggest problem. Like, Fanny, we gotta start from day one here. Why did you think like why did you think that was okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when asked about the local statutes on whether she knew that she was under any obligations to report, sis was basically acting clueless. Like she said that she didn't know nothing about nothing.
But I
And
think, sorry, go
yeah, go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, even if there's no statute, I feel like as an attorney and as an experienced attorney, not even experienced attorney, like just an attorney, period, like you would know that you have to report that. No statute has to
Yes.
be there. Just under
Yes.
like rules of responsibility, you know
Yes.
that like this is something that I don't want to cloud the case. But sorry, I'm gonna let
Right.
you finish. Yeah.
Right. So ethically, that makes me question like her entirely because like
Yeah.
if like she is standing on 10 toes that basically like she didn't know anything she was doing was
Mm-hmm.
problematic. And that's problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Because just say, like, you know what, y'all, I effed this up. I messed this one up. I wasn't supposed to be messing with that man. I did not consider his implications on this case or my career. However, I am still viable. I'm still knowledgeable. I'm still whatever and fix it that way. But the whole
Mm-hmm.
like playing dumb or maybe she's not playing. Maybe she literally still does not understand how ethically it is a problem to be messing with or to be involved in a romantic relationship with the special prosecutor. She's hired this man to come and work for her office. She's responsible for paying him to
Mm-hmm.
prosecute this Trump's case, and she's also laying down with him at night. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I like that's where I kind of like lose sympathy because you can't get that high up in your role as essentially a supervisor, like,
Yes.
and not know that that is wrong. Like, you just can't. Like, there's just no way that you haven't had situations where you've had difficult discussions with, like, supervisees or like employees, and like had to reprimand somebody for, some ethical boundary being crossed. And so you're trying to tell me that you didn't know that this was a thing. I just think is like, it's not believable at all. And like, just to piggyback off of like Kendall, or not even piggyback, but kind of like disagree, because where like Kendall was saying, she didn't know what she was necessarily getting herself into. Like, you were kind of like, she was like, she could have like been dumb or something like that. But like, there's no way that you can be this high up in your role and be that dumb, And like, oh, and then Kendall said, you know, uh, like, she was getting upset that everyone was paying attention to her and not to Trump and all his like bad dealings. That's what it was. And she had to know that was gonna come. We've all been watching this shit since 2016. Like, we've
Right.
all been watching him since 2016. So you're telling me, after years upon years, like, of watching him and how he manipulates different systems, and you're telling me you didn't know that he was going to find a hole in this case? You didn't know that he was going to hire somebody to make sure that he got out of this case in some type of capacity? It's just kind of, it is beyond unreasonable for me to believe that,
Yeah.
and that's where she fumbled the bag for me.
For sure,
Yeah.
especially after having death threats, people showing up to your house,
Mhm.
after having to move. She said that she had to move away from her home and into a private condo,
Mhm.
all of these things, and that doesn't signal to you that you need to be on your P's and Q's because this man is sending his people after you. If he has sent his people to the United States Congress to take over in the January 6th
Yeah.
insurrection, you don't think that he's gonna come after you, the person who's literally trying to prosecute, who's literally prosecuting you and trying to throw you into a jail? It's reckless. It's
It's
reckless.
reckless.
It's
Yeah.
reckless.
Yeah.
Well,
And
so
I
then
think that's some of
let's
that arrogance. Yeah.
let's get into it because she tried to go on this thing saying like, oh, they're doing this because I'm black. It's because I'm a black woman. It's because, all this kind of good stuff. And I will say, call me what you want, but I will say, for all that Trump is, the man is consistent. Like, he is an equal opportunity offender. So I don't think he cares whether she is black. Like you said, she is his op. That's all he sees. You my op,
Mhm.
I'm coming after you. So I would think that he would have exposed this, whether she was black, whether she was white, whether she was yellow, red, orange. Like, it does not matter what color she was, what ethnicity she was. This would have been a thing.
Mhm.
Now, I will say this on the part that I do feel maybe is racial, is that like I feel like they're trying to throw her under the bus because of, she hired him and she hired obviously his friends to do all these contracts. Like you said, Avi, before, like, she had hired the other people that worked in his law firm to do these contracts with the DA's office. But let's not act like they don't hire their friends all the time. Like, they're trying to make it
Mhm.
seem like, oh, he didn't even have experience for real. Why was she hiring him? Y'all be hiring y'all brothers, sisters, cousins all the time.
Mhm.
Preach.
I'm
And
like,
they don't
nepotism
be
is the way.
this qualified. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at her for that. Now, she has started sleeping with him? Hell no. But if she want to hire her and put her homeboys on, put your homeboys on then.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah, I
No,
just
I agree
finished
with that.
reading a thread on Twitter about this lawyer who had gotten her job. She had to go through 3 interviews, and this other lawyer who works at her firm, his interview was a day out on a golf course. And she was like, I was shook because this man literally knows nothing. We'll get in on these case meetings and he does not know anything.
Mm-mm.
So yeah,
And
no,
he's just
nepotism
there.
is certainly the way, especially in the legal profession, which is less than 5% black. I always like to throw
Mhm.
that out there. Um, but yeah, and totally agree with all that. Roz, were you going to add something to that? Because if not, I had another thing that I wanted to hit on
No,
too.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the black thing, like, I agree what you said, that Trump is an equal opportunity offender. he going to take them all down. What I do think is we have to be conscious of public opinion and public perception, because we cannot say that it's not important when it comes to the law, because we know that the public opinion and perception has influence. It does. We're people, right? We
Mm-hmm.
see, we hear, we read things online, and I do think that they're playing into this stereotype about Black women being aggressive, about the hypersexualization of Black women. I think that they are playing
Mm-hmm.
into those epithets and those stereotypes of Black women to bolster their case for public perception,
Mhm.
because of all of the lies that they added into their pleading. Like every time she was like, and you wrote that in there and that was a lie. You didn't even have a basis for that. Like to say when they
Mm-hmm.
started sleeping together and, this and that and other things. They were just throwing claims in there, just grasping from anywhere with no basis to assert those things. And I think that it was very intentional for them to do those things, because they knew that by adding those sexual facts in there, that it would play into those stereotypes that already exist against Black women, and that public perception, that her image would be tarnished. Now she didn't help her image in any way.
Not one. Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the defense was very strategic in using race in that way. Do I think that they were going to do this to anybody? Sure, absolutely. But the way that it is being portrayed, I think that race is a factor for that in terms of the outside public perception.
Well, I think they're using the tools that they have available to them. And
Yeah,
I can't be mad at them for that. I mean, it's crap, but that's the perception. That's the stereotype. You can't be, aggressive. You can't be anything. As a Black woman, you have to be on not just your P's and Q's, your I, A, B, C, D. You got to be on all the alphabets, because
Mm-hmm.
anything you do, they'll twist it, they'll turn it. And so they didn't make those stereotypes of Black women. That those are the stereotypes that are out there. What they're gonna do is use it to help their case, use it to their
yeah.
benefit. So I can't even say like, oh, they ain't right for that.
Right. I will say though, it's really like a damned if you do, damned if you don't, as a Black woman out here. Like, let's be real. We can go back to Ketanji Brown Jackson, the Chief Justice on the U.S. Supreme Court, her hearing, and how they were throwing everything at her, and how she had to keep
Mm-hmm.
her demeanor calm, poised, took it, ate it, every single thing that they threw at her, really demeaning and immoral things that they were saying. And, there was a few times where she had to, take a deep breath, gasp, and keep it moving, flow with class. And there were discussions then, it's like Black women shouldn't have to behave that way.
Mm-hmm.
If Brett Kavanaugh gets to scream, yell, and cry in his hearing, then Black women
Mm-hmm.
should be afforded the same space and opportunity to have feelings and emotions and to portray those in the same way that white men do. Because we saw just the months previously where Brett got up there and cut a fool in his hearing, was foaming at the mouth because of the things that they were saying about him.
Crust
So,
on the side. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it's really like you lose if you poised
Yeah.
and are eating it, and then if you up there and you get a little ghetto, you gonna get called ghetto. So
But that's why I say, like, I hate to keep like beating a dead horse, but that's why I say she knew all that. Like, that's why you
yeah,
can't fumble. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why Ketanji Brown Jackson she has a clean record.
spotless.
That's the reason why she was put up before the Supreme Court, because they knew there was nothing that they were going to try no matter what, but there was really nothing that she had on her record that would be seen widely as derogatory on her record. Obama wasn't the best president of all time, but he ain't have no scandal. He knew he couldn't have a scandal. Michelle Obama knew he couldn't have a scandal. Unfortunately, like when Black people are put in these public places of perception where there is only other stereotypes, you almost have a duty. I hate to say, like I sympathize with it, but you almost have a duty to come correct at
Mm.
all times, and if not, expect retribution, expect to be fired, expect to be off the case, expect for your career to be done. And it's a high bar, but also again, you can't get that far in your career unless you know that bar. unless you know that expectation. So we ain't got to worry about her being ghetto on the stand if you didn't even have that issue. You know what I mean? Like, you went ahead and
Exactly.
reported that you were dating this man that was previously your friend. We wouldn't even have to worry about that because you can do whatever you want in the privacy of your office or the privacy of your home. But as soon as you make it an issue with the case, a huge case, one of the largest cases Trump really has against him, especially when it comes to like voter fraud and voter suppression, and like there's a phone call, like it's a huge case. It's not even the other, like the New York stuff. Okay, cool, it's with your business. Like January 6th is huge, but like the case regarding his defamation and the rape claims, like that's again his personal life. But this is regarding the elections. This is a huge case, and this is the biggest bag, one of the biggest bags aside from the January 6th case. You can't let nothing. I mean, things are already gonna like poke holes in it, so you can't give them a hole to poke. I think that's my frustration with her entirely, and like that's why I give her very little room, very very little room for her actions on that stand.
And I've seen a lot of debate about that particular thing from many other Black women attorneys where they're saying it's not fair for the standard for Black women to be perfection. When you make it up in your career, like everybody else gets a pass except us. We have to be completely scrutinized and we are expected to be perfect. And it is not fair for people that are going against me to have rape allegations and be able to just float on by.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I can't have a speeding ticket without it being scrutinized under a magnifying glass. And so, do you all have a response to that? Like, to this, Black women have to be perfect if you're going to excel. And truthfully, I believe that that's across all career fields, not just the legal profession. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just saw something that's funny, and I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was like, if you want fair, go to the carnival or something. Like, it's just, it's not going to be, not right now. Like, I think we are still at a time where there are a lot of firsts. There are like, because Tanji, she's still just the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. Like, for an establishment that's been set for hundreds of years, this is not something new. So we are still battling a lot of firsts, which is sad, but it's the truth. And so we have, if like Rosalind said, if you choose, like, let's be honest, you don't have to, but if you choose to be in the public eye and take on a public role, you have to be okay with that. You have to understand there are so many people looking at me. I have all eyes on me, and no, it's not fair to me. But it is what I have to do to get where I need to be so that the other Black girls can cut up a little bit. Okay. Because at some point, obviously, it'll get to where we can, speak more freely in the workplace as being like Black women lawyers. We don't have to like code switch. I look forward to the day I ain't got a code switch, child. Like, but we still have to do that right now. We still are, it's very, it's like you said, 10 steps forward, 5 steps back. Like, that's what we've been battling for forever. Our grandparents have been battling it, our parents, we are, and hopefully we can just make it better for our children, our children's children. But as of right now, you can't give them no reason. You cannot give them no reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree that even though it's not fair, it's totally not fair. Like you said, like if you are one of the first, you just have that crap on your back. You know what I mean? Like you just have it on your back. Like there's nothing you can really change from that. And I think like you said, like there's a choice in it. And if you choose to go forward, then that's how you have to behave. There's a reason why I have the job that I have, because I wasn't willing to do certain things, or I wasn't willing to code switch. I don't got to code switch. My boss is Black. Like when I talk to him, I'm talking just like this. But I made that choice, right? Like I made a choice to like be happier in my role than necessarily be more successful or like have the public perception that I'm just like this successful attorney. But if you want the money or the power, and she has power, I don't know if she has money, you know, that's what comes with it, until, like you said, we have more people doing what she's doing. And right now we ain't got that many.
Yeah, sadly, sadly. The next thing that I wanted us to turn to are these trips, these luxurious trips that they were taking that just took up so much of the hearing, these trips to here, there, and some everywhere that her and Bay, Special Prosecutor Bay, were going on, in which what she says is that he got money. He been to 6 of the 7 continents. She made that clear, honey. He is a world traveler. And he got a travel agent for cruises, and he got a regular travel agent, and they just booked the trips, and I was reimbursing him in cash for my portion of the trips. Whatever he told me, I didn't ask for no receipts. Whatever he told me my portion of the trip cost, I paid him back because I didn't want him to think that I needed him. I'm a strong, independent black woman and I don't need a man for Jack Diddley squat. Basically is what her what
Also,
yeah, what she said.
mm, I just felt bad for her that she felt like she had to pay him back. I'm like, damn, bro, just take it.
Girl.
Like,
Girl.
And was
but I
proud
feel
of
bad
it.
for her.
And
Yeah.
was proud of it. Let's not forget that. Sis was proud that she paid that man back. That's
I
why I'm
know.
like, girl, you so messed up. You don't even know what you said. Like, you sound so crazy.
Well,
I
that
want
is
a man to feel like he got one up on me. Talking about,
well that
I want him to feel like he got 2, 3 up on me. Please pay for all my stuff. Let me sit here look stupid. Okay.
I know. I know. It was kind of like cringe because I'm like, girl, that ain't no flex. Like,
It's not.
it's not a flex. The only thing I agree with her is that, like, a man is not a plan, like a man is a companion. That's why I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
okay. But everything else, I was like, pay for me, take me.
She made a couple good points, like
Yeah,
always, have your own, always,
yeah.
make sure if you're going out on a date, make sure you can pay for yourself and
Mm-hmm.
everything else if you need to. She was right on certain points, but I think I really blame that on generation. I
Yeah.
don't blame her exactly. I think that is a generational thing, and I think she might be from a generation where she still feels like she has to prove, like, I have to show him a woman can do this, a woman can do that. I don't want him to think he's getting over on me, da 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 da. And I feel like us younger ones are like, please get over on me. I would like you to get over. Like,
Mm-hmm. Soft girl energy. Yeah.
soft girl energy, feminine
Mm-hmm.
energy. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
want you to pay for everything. I mean, at this point, she losing her job. Ain't you telling me you losing your job and you ain't get a free trip out of it? Sis, god dang.
And you paying $2,000 to go to Aruba? Just yeah, it's not. It's not what it's given. But it's funny. It's funny too because I think about the book. I should not bring stuff up when I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, post traumatic post traumatic slave syndrome, where like we are like conditioned to like assimilate, yes, but then also like we're conditioned from like our like enslavement, hundreds of years ago, and like we're conditioned to be like strong black women, and we need to like have our own, and we need to protect our family because the man is away, and like ain't no and nothing's gonna happen to my family while I'm around. And that's what she gave me. She's been alone for it seems a long time, and she almost doesn't like she has that wall built up where it's like you're not, and I know she had the wall built up because she was on the witness stand, right? But also just the fact that like you really feel like this is a flex, and it's not the flex that you think it is. And it's partially because like black women have always had to have that weight on their back that I gotta protect mine, I gotta have mine. And it's like, and white women typically don't have that. They don't see that as a flex. They want to be taken care of, they want to be coddled and make sure that they're good and not worry about anything about except what's going on in the home. And there's nothing wrong with, I'm gonna say, I think there's space for both, right? Like there's space to make sure that your household is good, and that just in case a man isn't there, like you can take care of your own. But also, it's okay if a man takes care of you, And that to me was just really sad that she was so proud of a lot of her um having that amount of cash, giving her cash to make sure that her part was paid for. I've never felt that way with the man. Ever. Ever. And if I ever felt that way with the man, I would not be with the man. Ever.
No, you're literally
Yeah.
not safe. If you feel that way, then you're not safe because that means that she's waiting for him to pull the rug and say, "Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Give me my money." And if you feel that way, then babe, you need to run. Like you
Yeah.
you need to get up out of there.
Yeah.
And so she says that she has this cash and you're right, Kendall, I think it was a generational thing because she says her dad taught her to always have this money stored up and then he got on the stand and said,
It's a
he has
black thing.
always taught his daughter to have money in the safe and it's a black thing y'all wouldn't understand and her all of that. I don't have $15,000 in my safe downstairs, so I don't know what black thing it is,
Right.
but maybe that is from previous generations, and I didn't come from a black family with money, so I don't think my family did that either. We had a couple $100 maybe. God bless if we got it for Christmas and never made it to the ATM to deposit it, but just thousands upon thousands of dollars sitting around? No. And she said that she didn't have like $20,000. She said on her best day, it might have been 15, worst day, like 900, I think she said. But what she says is that she was paying him back, which is like in $2,000 spurts. I think there were like 3 or 4 trips that she gave him these $2,000 cash transactions. And what they're trying to say is that that is money from the state, like because she works for the state. So she was using her
Mm-hmm.
state funds to benefit him, which is
Reach.
again a conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And is what the defense's argument is. And so what she says is that cash is fungible, is the word that she kept using. She said, I can't tell you the cash in my safe. I can't tell you where it's from. I've always had cash in my safe way before I started working for the state. When I had my own firm, I had money that I would just toss in there. When I go into the grocery store, I might get $50 cash back and toss it into there. I can't tell you at which point the cash started and which point it ended to say 100, with 100% certainty that the money that I paid him came from the state of Georgia. And that's what they're trying to show is that the money that she was paying for these trips with was benefiting him. It was the state's money, i.e., money from tax-paying citizens in the state of Georgia. And that is such a reach for them. But also, it's a little weird too. I'm not gonna lie, at least to me, that all of these cash transactions were happening. And sure, she had the money in her safe. But in my honest opinion, some of that money was coming from her current income. Like that's really what I believe. Can I prove it? No. But go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I don't even know if I really remember or really believe that all of it came in cash. Like I don't know if I really like. Come on now, Zelle, Cash App, Venmo. Like you telling me everything was in cash? Okay, fine. But also, like like you said, it's an extreme reach. It is an extreme reach to say that the cash that you gave me in my check, and then I only can do with what's in my check with what you want me to do with it. I can only pay my bills. I can only do things that are within the bounds of this case. That sounds crazy. That sounds nuts. Like that is the furthest reach I think that you can give. But the fact that they did it just shows how determined they are to destroy this case because they went this far.
It's insane. Kendall, what do you think about the cash thing?
I at first I didn't believe her. Like at first I'm thinking, because like I said, I'm thinking she got it up here. And I'm thinking she's lying. Like I just thought she was lying because I'm like, why would you keep paying him back? Like, but once I realized the reason she was paying him back, I was like, oh no, she meant that. She was paying that man back.
True. Yeah,
Like I
fair.
thought she was just playing, like, trying to say she paid him back, but she really didn't. Um, So I kind of agree with Rosalind. Like, why does it matter what she did? Like, if they were dating, obviously, and they admit to that fully, like they were dating. Of course, the money that she's making from her job is going to go to the things that she's doing in her personal life. Like, everybody can understand that, get on board with that. Like, obviously I think, like I said before, I think it's the relationship that's the biggest thing. Now obviously the defense has a strategy that they are, obviously if it has something to do with the money, it looks worse. Like, yes, the relationship was bad, but at the end of the day, she wasn't married. He was, we still don't know the
Married.
timeline of his stuff, but he was obviously separated from his wife. He was still legally married to her, but he was separated from his wife. And so it's not this big like scandal affair, like, oh, they were cheating, like the Amy and TJ thing. Like, it's not that. Like, obviously the relationship was bad, but they were having an inappropriate relationship. Boom. And yes, the money makes it even worse. Like, damn, look what she was doing, look what they were doing, da da da. But I don't think it's far-fetched that she was going on vacation with the money she got from her salary.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. I think I think all of that is right. I think the point that they're trying to hit is that it was public funds. Y'all are using tax-paying citizens' money to take these lavish trips on a relationship that is based on a conflict of interest. Like they're playing into this tax-paying public fund thing. Like that's something that they were
Saying that
reiterating.
tax paying, tax paying.
And
Okay,
and
girl,
he
please.
said, I don't know where the state of Georgia gets their money from. Like I can't say that it's taxpaying money. I know that I get my money from the state, and where they choose to get it from is on them. I don't know.
Well, that was stupid. But I mean, at the end of the
It's a
day,
very lawyer answer. A lot of his answers were very lawyer
that
answers.
I
was
also
dumb.
thought that that was complete nonsense. We know that state budgets come
It
from
says,
tax
yeah,
dollars.
yeah, yeah, very dumb.
To that
Yeah.
point, he like kind of pissed me off. I had to start watching his because he started pissing me off when they kept asking him about the interrogatories that he answered from his divorce, when
Yeah.
they were like, and the question was, have you from the time that you in the course of the marriage to the present, he kept going over that fact. Well, the marriage was irrevocably broken in 2015. Sir, we ain't asked you nothing about that. We said to the present, which was 2023. And at that time, you had entertained probably several women. Fanny ain't the only one you entertained.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I feel you on that. So what you're talking about is his divorce proceedings, where he, in their discovery of evidence, says that the lawyers asked if he's ever entertained another woman during the course of his marriage. He says no. Well, obviously, if his divorce was still pending in 2023 and he's dating Fani in 2021, then clearly he's entertaining another woman.
Right.
In his defense, not in his
Mm-mm.
defense because there's really no
I
defense
was
for
about
an
to
F
say,
boy.
what?
But what he kept saying was the marriage technically ended in 2015. I went back and listened to his lawyer's testimony, who says that he contracted me to start his divorce proceedings in 2017. It's just been a very long, drawn out divorce. Because if they've been in divorce proceedings for this long,
Yeah,
and
that
then
is what he kept
COVID
saying. Yeah.
COVID came, slowed down the process, all the things. Did we expect the man to be single from 2017 to 2023 while his divorce was pending? Is that reasonable?
Mm-hmm.
No. And I agree. I agree that, like, I don't think that's what I'm saying. I don't think the relationship, like the fact that he was in the relationship at the time that he was separated, I don't think that's the issue. The question though was have you entertained?
But I'm glad that he didn't answer it. I mean, he answered in a very lawyerly, like a very smart
Yes, he
way.
did.
Where like, I'm glad he didn't answer it blatantly because it wouldn't have been the right answer. You know
No,
what I
it
mean?
would
Like,
have been the right answer. He would have lied, and
well,
that's what they tried to prove, that he lied,
no,
and
but
he
then it,
did.
no, it's not like Aviance is saying, like you you ended your marriage in 2015 are you not supposed to sleep with anyone until 2023? Like the marriage is done in 2015, but just because there's a legal proceeding, like there is, you ended the marriage. You no longer live together. You're totally separate. You're out living your own lives. She lives in Texas. Didn't she live in Texas or something like that? And he lives in Georgia. Like, so, like it really wasn't, I wouldn't have answered it clearly either, honestly. I would have been doing the same thing, like, well, like it just wasn't. And they did that a lot too, because there was another thing where they were like trying to say that he worked 24 hours in a day. And he was like, nah, bro, like I'm telling you, I worked 24 hours for the week. I reported it on this day. Like they tried to like skip him up a couple of times. I thought it was impressive, honestly.
I didn't. I thought he was lying, and I felt such. I said you're a liar, and you've been one. So because that's not the question. I don't think the man was supposed to be alone. I don't think he was, not supposed to be sleeping with nobody. If he and the wife can agree that the marriage ended, whether not legally, but if the marriage ended in 2015, so be it. The question was, have you entertained through the course of the marriage to the present? It didn't say over the course of the marriage, period. Had it said that, I would have said, okay, well, he was right. Even though he wasn't legally married, even though he was still legally married, he, hadn't entertained during the course of the marriage. That was not the question. It said over the course to today. And he had, and he lied.
I don't know if he lied. I think he answered it appropriately because it was a poorly written question.
He answered it.
Question poorly written, please. If it said, what did you eat for dinner today? Don't say, well, because I ate this last week, I don't know, man.
No, well, if somebody asked me what I ate for dinner, I would maybe choose to say the dinner, but I wouldn't choose to say like the pre-snacks. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't choose to say like
so
the inner, no, I choose to answer the question appropriately.
That's how my sister does, and she tears my nerves up because she'd be like, I ain't eat nothing all day except for I had a Happy Meal this morning, and then she starts to name all the things that she's eating. I'm like,
exactly. I'm like, I'm weak. Why? You had Hershey's Kisses until 12 p.m. Oh, well.
No, I am a very literal person, and so if it says up to the present, I can get why he lied. Of course, he didn't want to say. He didn't want to, and obviously he didn't know that would come into play here. And I think if it stayed in the divorce, he would have been within his right to say no. I do. But because now it's being used against him and it technically was a lie, to me, that diminishes his credibility completely.
Really?
Yeah. 100%.
From that one answer of no.
He's a liar.
Interesting. He's a liar. Impeach him.
The boy's a liar. The boy's a liar.
She done wrap this man up, okay?
I know. I'm like, dang.
The last thing, we're hitting our hour mark here for sure. And this has been so fun. But the last thing that I really want to talk about that was irking me, and y'all can all say your last point too. It doesn't have to be this one. But the last thing that was irking my nerves was like her overspilling of answers. Like if they asked a yes or no question, just answer the question yes or no. For example, tell us about this trip, how much money was spent. Well, we went on a wine tour, but I don't really like wine,
that
so I
Grey
didn't
Goose.
I didn't spend that much money because I like Grey Goose. What are we doing here? Why are you doing that? What is all the lawyers kept saying she's employing a strategy. I had to ask in one of the networking groups, what's the strategy? I'm not seeing it. Clearly, I'm Ray Charles to it because it's chaos up there. It is chaos. But the one thing that was pinching my nerve was when did the relationship end?
When women.
Well, a man would say that it ended when the physical relations ended. However, me as a woman, for me, it ended when we had that tough conversation. So that'd have been around August. But he would probably say that the relationship ended when we stopped physically engaging, which was around June, July. Why didn't they converse beforehand, decide on a date that the
Yeah.
relationship ended? Because obviously they knew that that question was coming.
Mhm.
They
Hmm.
knew that that was going to be asked. Why is there all this rigmarole about when the relationship ended? And she just kept saying, a man would say, a woman would say. And so much so to the point where the judge had to intervene and said, we've gone down this path.
So true.
Oh,
I just wish that it was a Black attorney that was questioning her. Because if she would have said that, and I would have said, well, what would a Fanny say? When did the relationship end? Because that's just what I would like to know. I don't really need to know what a man would say. What would a Fanny say?
But I think they kept.
Absolutely.
I think that's part of the strategy of them keeping it vague because I don't know. I kind of agree. I'd have been like, well, because who's to say what they would have brought up if he said June, you said June, and then you'd be like, well, in August, we see this, da, 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 da. I think she kept it vague for a reason. Was it annoying? Yes, but I would have kept it vague for a reason too. Like, you don't need to know all that. And we might have kept doing stuff. And most relationships are vague, like, especially purely physical ones, right? So, like, you know, okay, we stopped being physical in June, but he was trying to get it in August, or he was, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? So, I feel her on that one too. I would have kept it vague as well.
I hear you, but I just think that they could have better prepared. They could have come up with an answer and stuck with their
For sure.
answer.
No, I
Like,
agree.
I just don't think I appreciated her kept saying like a man would say, a woman would say. It just seemed like there was a lot of that happening when it was just kind of
Yeah.
like, girl, please. So I mean, but I could understand her saying like, well, we kind of fizzled out. It was not, a date to the end of the relationship. I can't sit here and provide you with one date, you
Yeah,
know?
that's a good point.
So she could have said that. There were a lot better ways to say, hell, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So
And I still love him. Yeah.
it's giving she still loves him.
Yeah,
I'm
it
not gonna
is.
lie. That was the one
Hmm.
part that I kind of was like, oh, and you do it again, wouldn't you?
she
Yeah,
would. She
she
absolutely
would.
would.
She absolutely would.
Girl
Yeah,
said, because of y'all have solidified our relationship with this circus of an investigation. We now locked in for life.
She did. But even before that, she kept
she did
saying,
say that.
Mr. Wade is such it's like she was so very complimentary of him. Mr. Wade's a royal traveler. Mr. Wade has done this. Mr. Wade is so da, 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 da.
I didn't get that from him.
No,
No.
because he's a misogynist. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm. Because he's a bum.
because
Mm-hmm.
listen, you never once heard, you heard several times of where she said, well, I wanted to do this for his birthday. It was his 49th birthday. I took him to Belize for his
She
50th
said, I wanted to do it
birthday.
big.
I did 50 big. That's exactly what she said. I did 50 big.
She did.
What, you never heard him once say, oh, her
I
birthday
did
was
this for
this
her.
trip, and
Mm-hmm.
so we went here, or I really, wanted to take her here. So, even though she paid me back, but everything was in service of him. And so it's crazy to me that she feels as though just because she paid him back, she was not giving the effect of like, oh, you still got one up on me. He still had the hold on you. Whether you wanted him to or not, it wasn't just the money. You obviously looked up to this man in whatever way, shape, or form. Y'all were not equals in this relationship. And that was made very clear to
You definitely
me.
were making sandwiches in other ways.
Yeah, you might not have been making a literal sandwich. And I bet
Mm-hmm.
you that she probably still even did that too.
Mm-hmm.
But he was still getting what he needed from you. And you never once heard him say those things about her. Like, I wanted to
Yeah.
do for her. I took care of her. I stood at her. It was always, I wanted to be, it was his birthday, and I wanted to do it up for him because 50 for me was so lonely, and all that kind of other foolishness she was throwing out there. Like, but you never heard him be so complimentary of her.
Yeah. But that's also why I felt really sad for her. Because you could tell she's probably shown up in a lot of relationships like that. The fact that she's as old as she is, still being boastful about the things that she was boastful about was Sad.
Yeah, it's giving save our sis. Send her life raft. She needs to be saved. God bless.
Save our sis.
That really, like, SOS is literally what I was thinking the whole
Hmm.
time. Before we wrap up, did anybody have any other pressing thoughts? Roz, when you posted on IG, I really want to talk about this, and I hit you up. What was it that you really wanted to say?
Everything that I just said, I think what I really wanted to say was, it's sad that Black women have to show up perfectly, but this was not the time to make a statement and not be perfect. Like, this was not the time to make a statement and say, we make mistakes. That was another time. It won't this time. It wasn't in the midst of an election, in the midst of trying to show that there was election fraud and, you know, Trump's dealings. This was not the time. And, you know, she's not the only Black woman prosecuting Trump, but it definitely was the biggest case. And I was just so disappointed in her. And there was actually a New York Times article with Black women kind of like sharing their insight on it. And it pretty much said as much as we said, like, you know, during this podcast, where it was just like, I feel you, sis, but damn, you know, like, I feel you, sis, but we all been there, but not right now. You know, we have all been played. We have all been, you know, been in situations that weren't in the best relationships. We have all been smitten, but not right now. This was not the time to be smitten and to be dumb and to be, and to not think about your career and how this will affect everyone in the nation because of your love interest. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, Kendall.
That's so true. I just really hope he was dicking her down. Like, that's the
He
only
had to be. He had to be.
that
He
is
had to
the one
be.
thing I can say. I hope he gave it to her like none other. Okay? Because all this other foolishness, you paying him back. I hope he was tearing it up, girl.
Yeah.
That was not my last and final thought though, but
That's a good one.
Let me tell you something. For every woman who's listening right now, ain't no peen in this world
Worth
worth
your
your
career.
hard-earned career. It's
Mm-hmm.
not no dangling in the world
It's so true.
but
worth
if
your
there
hard work.
if you do, it better have been good. Okay, that's all I can say. If you do lose your job over it, honey, it better be the ding-a-ling of gold. That's all I can say. I just didn't care for her dress. I didn't like the way it made her look saggy. It did nothing for her. I'm like, girl, I know you got better dresses than that. It was like a t-shirt dress. Like, I've never seen a dress like that where you could wrap it around you
I
and then
think it was cheaply made.
I just didn't get it. It was like it looked both like a business thing, but also like a shirt. Like how did you find that? Where did you get that from? And why did you wear it today? Like, could you have not worn that some other time? Why would you buy this dress that looks, it's got the fake?
So frumpy.
It was so frumpy.
Yeah.
It made her look so saggy and just eek. Don't do that again. Like, come, girl, listen, y'all gonna put me on the stand for sleeping with a man?
Fine. Okay.
I'm about to come up in there stepping. I'm like, you know what? I
Thanks.
was stupid,
Shaped.
but I'm gonna look good being stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Period.
And I like Grey Goose. How about that?
Because girl said, I make $200,000. I don't need a man. But came in there dressed like she might have needed him a little
Country.
bit.
Well, country. She dressed country. You know what I'm saying? Like, she dressed like she was from Georgia and she was
She
country.
stepped down like her heels was hurting. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
ooh.
Like,
I know. I know.
I just,
Okay. Yes. Well, this has been so fun. Thank y'all so much. Roz, thank you for coming and joining our show.
Yeah. Thank
I'm
you for
glad that you
having
got to
me.
say everything that you wanted to say.
I got it
And
all out.
we would love to have you back sometime.
Oh.
We really appreciate y'all listening, tuning in for episode 8. We will see y'all soon.
Bye.